Hi there. On the topic of informed consent, um, I'm quickly realizing the level of importance that is informed consent and um, how that plays out in the counselee and the counselor's relationship, just setting the tone for what's to come and providing a safe space for both people. Um, it's one thing that I'm realizing that um, should not be overlooked, and it should be a little nuanced. Um, and what I there's this research article that I looked up, and it was done by A. Grant McDowell and his associates, and what they studied was, um, you know, they looked to find results for professional disclosure practices of rehabilitation counselors in both the public and the private sector. Counselors were surveyed regarding the content, the circumstances, the timing, and the format of their disclosure. Like, when should we give disclosure? When should we let these know? What should we add? And what they realized was that, or what was concluded was that while most rehabilitation counselors appreciate the need to engage in a process of professional disclosure with their clients, it appears that there is a great variability in the content and utilization of the professional disclosure forms. Many rehabilitation counselors fail to disclose crucial information and/or choose to disclose it either as needed or after the initiation of the counseling relationship. And so that's just great information, and that reading that checked me in place to make sure that I'm doing my job, because there are legal ramifications to this issue, not just ethical. And in building on that point, I want to the state that I live in is Massachusetts, and they have a standard. Um, their standard for written and signed informed consent is a licensed mental health counselor's credentials, a statement regarding confidentiality and its limits, information regarding accurate and appropriate billing procedures, an explanation of services provided and the risks and benefits of counseling services, including an explanation of risks and benefits of engaging in the use of distance counseling technology and/or social media within the counseling process. A client bill of rights, which includes but is not limited to the information concerning informed consent, the license's grievance process, client respect, and the client's right to terminate treatment. Massachusetts is pretty tight on its requirements, 3,360 hours post, graduate school, and they go the long way when it comes to healthcare, and I think that's for the best, because they do, inside of that you become well trained, so to speak. And as I look at this and I look at the ACA Code of Ethics, and I hold the Massachusetts ACA Code of Ethics, it does a great job of not missing much. For example, talking about the technology, talking about describing what's necessary as far as technology and teletherapy, talking about boundaries and what should and should not be described. As I look at the ACA Code of Ethics, I notice like there is a little bit of a nuance there that I think even the Massachusetts and the informed consent that I use from um, a counseling practice, I think they miss, for example, talking about maybe the depths of, what's the relationship, the informed consent in their counseling relationship. For example, if a counselor wanted to go to, their client's a funeral, that's to their own discrepancy. Like, they have to make that choice and be wise. So the ACA is we'll say the top standard, and everything else has to kind of funnel under that. But I think that there, even, when I look at this business or this private practice and I look at their informed consent, I think they could have done a better job of touching on the technology piece and what's required there. But they did a great job of hitting, I think, the main points, that it's their job, responsibility to protect the information that's there, that there's legal ramifications if they do not. That they were upfront when talking about their counseling services and confidentiality, um, appointment times, accountability if you miss an appointment, payments, emergency accessibility. Um, they have a parent and legal guardian if the person is a minor. They have that there as well. So they do a great job of touching on some of those big points. It's just the nuances that if we're talking about comparison across the board, I think that this one service or this one counseling center or private practice could tighten up the reins. But other than that, learned a ton from this experience and learned a ton from this from doing this exercise. And the more information with informed consent and understanding the weight of the responsibility that we have as mental health professionals, I think can only help us going forward.